Taurus, the last Sunday of May. A warning from the universe you can't ignore. Have you ever felt like you've been holding everything together for so long that you forgot what it feels like to just be? Like you've been showing up for everyone else, but quietly wondering when it'll be your turn? If that sounds familiar, then you didn't find this video by accident. Welcome to Zodiac Wisdom. I'm Sophia, a psychologist, astrologer, and your companion on this journey of cosmic insight and emotional clarity. This is more than a channel. It's a sanctuary for women like you, who've given so much and are finally ready to come home to themselves. If you're a Taurus or someone who loves a Taurus, this message carries something quietly powerful, something your soul may have been waiting for. And even if you're not, but you're craving stability, peace, and a deeper sense of purpose, I'm so glad you're here. Before we dive in, if this kind of content speaks to your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss the messages that arrive right when you need them most. And if anything I say today touches you, I truly hope you'll leave a comment below. Your story, your voice, your truth, it matters here. In today's video, we're going to explore why the last Sunday of May holds an energetic shift that Taurus women, especially those over 40, simply cannot afford to ignore. It's a day that invites deep emotional realignment, one that starts not with big changes, but with small sacred truths. You'll hear stories from real women I've worked with, women who rediscovered their strength not by doing more, but by finally allowing themselves to pause. You'll also learn about 3 simple rituals that can quietly open doors you didn't even realize were closed. So stay with me all the way to the end, because what you're about to discover might not only shift your perspective, it might just shift your life. Ready? Let's begin. Chapter 1. The strength you give away and how to call it back. Taurus women are known for their strength, the kind of strength that doesn't make loud announcements. It doesn't seek applause. It just shows up day after day, moment after moment, taking care of what needs to be done, holding families together, keeping small businesses running, making sure the fridge is full, the bills are paid, the emotions in the house are stable. You are the quiet backbone of so many lives. But here's the truth I need you to hear, straight from my heart to yours. Just because you can carry it all doesn't mean you should. I want to tell you about Donna. She's 58, lives in a small town in Texas, and runs a candle shop she started after her kids left for college. On the outside, everything looked calm, peaceful even. But when she reached out to me for a session, her voice cracked within the first 5 minutes. "I don't know what's wrong with me," she said. "I'm not sad exactly, but I'm not happy either. I feel numb." As we talked, it became clear that Donna had spent so many years showing up for everyone else, her children, her husband, her community, that she no longer knew what it meant to show up for herself. She couldn't remember the last time she did something simply because she wanted to. Not because it helped someone, not because it made sense, just because it lit her up. This is something I see often with Taurus women, especially those in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. You are loyal, grounded, and incredibly capable. But that same loyalty can turn into self-abandonment if you're not careful. You get so used to being the reliable one that you stop checking in on your own soul. And here's where the astrology becomes more than just symbols in the sky. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and self-worth. But Venus doesn't just rule romance, it rules what we value, what we believe we're allowed to receive, what we think we're worthy of. When Venus energy is imbalanced in your life, you may still look like everything's under control. You might still get the to-do list done, still smile when someone asks how you are. But inside, you start to feel like a ghost in your own story. The last Sunday of May brings a subtle but powerful shift. Energetically, it's a day that invites you to pause, not just physically but emotionally, to check in with that voice inside you that's been whispering, "I'm tired." The voice that says, "I miss myself." Donna's turning point came in the most ordinary moment. She was standing in her kitchen, cleaning up after dinner, when she looked out the window and saw the sun setting. Something about the colors, the peach gold sky, the long shadows over the trees, made her stop. Just stop. She put the dish down, took a breath, and stood there in silence. Later, she told me, "I don't know why that sunset broke me open, but for the first time in years I felt like I was there. Not thinking about the next task, not worrying, Just present. Presence. That's what Taurus needs more than anything this month. Because presence is the bridge back to yourself. When you're always doing, always giving, always managing, there's no space left to feel. And feeling is where your truth lives. Feeling is where the clarity is born. Not in the plans. Not in the perfection. In the pause. So here's what I want you to know. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to prove your worth through productivity. You don't have to wait for a breakdown to make yourself a priority. You are allowed to care for yourself simply because you exist. And if that still feels hard to believe, remember this. When you take care of you, you take care of everyone who depends on you. Not by sacrificing yourself, but by modeling what wholeness looks like. The last Sunday of May isn't about quitting everything. It's not about radical change. It's about reclaiming your center. That might mean waking up 10 minutes earlier to sip your tea in silence. It might mean saying no to something small that drains you. It might mean reaching for something creative, writing, painting, baking. Not because it's productive, but because it brings you back to life. Taurus energy is earth energy. It's slow, steady, sensual, and deeply rooted. And right now, the earth is asking you to come back to your roots, not your roles, not your responsibilities, you. And if you're thinking, I wouldn't even know where to start, that's okay. You don't need a 30-day plan. You need one small, honest choice. Start by asking, what do I need emotionally, spiritually, physically, that I've been ignoring? Then listen. Not with judgment. Not with guilt. Just with love. Because you've spent enough time giving your strength away. Now it's time to call it back. Chapter 2. The exhaustion isn't from doing too much. It's from not being yourself. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly, with your heart, not your habit. When was the last time you felt like yourself? Not the mom. Not the wife. Not the one who keeps everything together. Not the business owner, the scheduler, the helper, the fixer. Just you. That question stopped Sandra in her tracks. She was 62 when we first spoke. A creative spirit with a sharp eye for design and a gentle way of speaking that made people feel safe. But she hadn't touched her sketchbook in over 8 years. Her days were full of client calls, grocery runs, helping with her granddaughter, answering emails. Nothing wrong, but something definitely missing. I feel like I've become usefully invisible, she told me. That phrase hit me like a bell, because I've heard it in so many forms from so many Taurus women. You stay busy, you stay needed, you stay useful, and slowly you disappear. Taurus is often misunderstood in astrology. People think you're just about comfort and stability, but underneath that earthy calm is a deeply rich inner life. A love for beauty, texture, sensuality, meaning you don't just want to survive, you want to feel alive. To move through life like you're touching something real. But when your identity gets buried under roles and routines, you begin to feel dull. Not because your life lacks meaning, but because you've stopped hearing your own voice. And here's where the real exhaustion sets in. It's not the to-do list. It's not the work. It's the effort of holding in your truth, of denying your needs, of pretending you don't want more just to keep things peaceful. That's the kind of tired you can't fix with sleep. It shows up in the sigh you don't let out, the tears you swallow, the dreams you set aside because they don't seem realistic anymore. But here's what I need you to know. The version of you who wanted more? She wasn't selfish. She wasn't unrealistic. She was honest. And she's still there. The last Sunday of May is asking you to reconnect with her. Energetically, this is a time of reevaluation, of looking at the life you've built and asking, not is it good, but is it true? Does it reflect who you are now? Not who you were 10 years ago or who others need you to be, but the woman you've quietly become. The one with deeper wisdom, sharper intuition, a softer, slower hunger for something real. Sandra's breakthrough didn't come from quitting her job or running off to find herself. It came from one small act of permission. I asked her to create just 1 hour a week where she'd do something for no reason other than joy. No goal, no outcome, no expectation. She started by rearranging a corner of her home office, setting up her old drafting table, buying a fresh set of pencils, lighting a candle. She told me it felt awkward at first, like she was playing pretend, but then something clicked. I remembered what it feels like to want something, she said. Not just need or manage, want. That word, want, can feel dangerous for women over 40, especially those who've spent decades in service to others. But wanting isn't a threat. It's a signal, a clue, a compass pointing back to life. The voice inside you that says, "I wish I could," isn't trying to mess with your stability. It's trying to restore your vitality. You are allowed to grow again, not because something is broken, but because something in you is ready. And I know, Taurus, that change doesn't come easy to you. You don't leap. You don't disrupt just for the thrill of it. You need to feel grounded before you move. That's why this isn't about throwing everything out. It's about realigning. You're not too old. You haven't missed your chance. And the desires you buried aren't gone. They're just waiting for your permission. So here's my invitation. Let this Sunday be the day you stop dismissing what your soul has been whispering. You don't have to act on everything, but you do have to start listening. Write it down. Say it out loud. Name what you miss, what you want, what you're curious about. You're not here just to be needed. You're here to be known, first and foremost by yourself. And when you start honoring your truth, gently, bravely, one choice at a time, you don't become someone else. You become fully yourself. Just like Sandra did. These days she still works. She still helps with her granddaughter. But she's painting again. Not for money. Not for anyone. Just because it reminds her that she's alive. And the light in her eyes? It's back. That's what I want for you. Not a perfect life. Not an easy one. Just one where you feel like you again. Because that's when everything changes, not outside but within. Chapter 3. Small rituals, big shifts. Transformation doesn't always begin with big moments. Sometimes the deepest shifts in our lives start with the tiniest interruptions in our routine. The day we sit 5 minutes longer with our morning coffee. The moment we close the door and allow silence instead of filling it with noise. The night we write down one honest sentence and let it exist without judgment. Taurus energy doesn't thrive on chaos or sudden leaps. It thrives on steadiness, on gentle trust, on beauty that feels rooted in something real. That's why, for you, transformation often arrives not like a lightning bolt, but like a slow, warm wind that clears the dust quietly. You don't need more force. You need more space. Carla, a 60-year-old woman from Florida, taught me this in a way I've never forgotten. When she came to me, she said something I've heard before, but never with such clarity. "I'm not miserable, but I feel like I'm just waiting for something to shift, something to click. And I don't even know what it is." She had spent most of her life being dependable, raising kids, supporting her partner through retirement, helping at her church, occasionally freelancing as a home organizer. Her days were filled with purpose, but inside there was a quiet ache. Not of sadness exactly, but of absence. She missed herself, but couldn't quite name the version of her that had gone missing. I didn't give her a long list of things to do. I didn't tell her to start journaling every morning or go on a spiritual retreat. I simply asked her to choose one small corner of her home, one drawer, one shelf, one space she had been overlooking, and clean it. Not in the way we clean when we're rushing or multitasking, but slowly, like a ritual. With intention, with care, and with curiosity. She chose her tea shelf. It wasn't anything dramatic, just a few old tins, expired chamomile bags, 2 chipped mugs she hadn't used in years. She took everything out, wiped the wood carefully, lit a small candle, and arranged only what she still loved. It took 20 minutes. But by the time she was done, something inside her felt new. That same afternoon, she sat by her window with a cup of tea she hadn't touched in months, put on soft instrumental music, and wrote a letter. Not to her husband, not to her children, not to her past self, but to the woman she was becoming. She told me she cried, not from sadness but from relief. Because for the first time in years, she made space for herself without needing a reason. This is the heart of ritual. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. And presence is what brings Taurus back to life. The last Sunday of May carries a special kind of energy. One that invites you, Taurus, to return to what is simple and sacred. To stop waiting for a dramatic change and start honoring the small, intentional choices that create inner alignment. So today I want to offer you 3 simple rituals. They aren't hard. They don't require anything fancy. But when done with care, they can become doorways to something deeper. Something that reminds you that you're allowed to feel, want, and become more fully you. Ritual 1. Make physical space for emotional clarity. Pick one corner of your home, a shelf, a drawer, a bedside table. Clean it slowly. Touch each object. Ask yourself, do I still love this? Does this still serve who I am now? Let go of what no longer feels aligned. When you're done, place something beautiful there. A candle, a photo, a small plant, and let it be a visual reminder that your space is sacred because you are. Ritual 2. Write a letter to your next chapter. Take a blank sheet of paper. Light a candle if it helps you feel grounded. Then write, not about goals or resolutions, but about how you want to feel. Speak from your heart. Not about what needs fixing, but about what wants to come alive again. Begin the letter with "Dear me," and let the words flow. You don't need to read it aloud or share it. Just write. Writing is how Taurus connects the heart to the earth. Ritual 3. Gift yourself stillness. For 7 minutes, do nothing. No phone. No music unless it calms you. Just sit. Breathe. Let yourself feel whatever shows up. If tears come, let them. If boredom comes, notice it. You're not trying to get anywhere. You're simply making space for your being to catch up with your doing. This isn't wasted time. This is healing time. I know you may be thinking, what can these little things really change? But that's the old voice, the one that's been trained to believe only effort equals value. What I've learned after years of working with women like you is that the smallest acts done with sacred intention have the most lasting power, because they remind you that you matter, not because of what you do, not because of how others see you, but because of who you already are. And when you start living like that truth is real, when you choose yourself in these small, quiet ways, something inside begins to shift. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for timing. You stop waiting for everything to be okay. You realize the moment is already here. Carla didn't change her whole life overnight, but she started listening. And what she heard was the sound of her own soul, quietly returning home. That's what I want for you this Sunday. Not another task. Not another pressure. Just a gentle return to yourself, through ritual, through presence, through love. Conclusion. This is not the end. It's the beginning of you. So let's take a breath together right here, right now. Because what we've explored today isn't just about astrology. It's about you. It's about the quiet strength you've carried for so long, the parts of yourself you've postponed, the truth you've been whispering to yourself when the house is quiet and no one else is watching. You don't need to burn everything down to start again. You don't need a dramatic awakening. You just need one honest moment of presence. One small ritual. One clear, courageous decision to come back to you. You've spent years being everything for everyone. But now it's your turn. Not to be selfish. To be whole. If you felt seen today, if even one part of this message touched something deep inside, I want you to remember, that wasn't by accident. That's your soul, your intuition, responding to a truth it already knows. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of softness. You are worthy of choosing yourself, even if it's just for 7 quiet minutes this Sunday. Let's make that choice together. And now I'd love to hear from you. Which part of today's message spoke to you most? Was there a sentence, a memory, or a ritual that felt like it was meant just for you? Let me know in the comments. Because your story might be the gentle reminder another woman here needs to keep going. If you're a Taurus or someone who loves a Taurus, or you're simply drawn to the grounded wisdom this sign carries, then I hope you'll stay with us. Subscribe to Zodiac Wisdom so you never miss another soul-centered message. Like this video if it helped you breathe a little deeper today. Share it with a friend who's been holding on a little too tightly for a little too long. And come back next week, because we're not done. In fact, we're just getting started. In our next episode, we'll explore what the second half of 2025 holds for Taurus women in love, in purpose, and in emotional alignment. If you've been wondering, what's next for me? You won't want to miss it. You're not alone on this path. This is your community. This is your invitation. And this is your time. Until next time, Taurus, keep your heart grounded. Keep your spirit open. And never forget, your softness is not a weakness. It's the sacred strength the world needs more of.